Can you hear me? You may not want to hear me. Who knows? To our family and friends, thank you for being here to celebrate Mike and Melissa's special day. A big thank you for your support, encouragement, love, and laughter. You have been a special part of Mike and Melissa's life, and I speak for them. I say you're probably the most favorite people in the world to them. We hope that you enjoy the celebration and all the great times and moments in the future. It's been a great honor and a privilege to be Melissa's dad. I'm a bit prejudiced, but I think she's probably one of the best people in the world that I know. And Mike, well, that's enough said there. No. Mike, it's been a great getting to know you these last, I believe, almost 2 years?
2+.
2+. You've become like the son I never had. Welcome to our family. Dean and Julie, you did a great job with me. And I have to tell you a funny story about Mike and Melissa. As you know, Mike is a high school math teacher, so he gets a little time off during the summer. So he thought he'd get a part-time job at a place down in Denver to make up some money so he had more money for the honeymoon. You remember all this?
No.
And anyway, he got a job at a pork and bean company down in Denver. And the poor guy lasted about a week. He was putting the beans upside down in the cans, and everybody was getting the hiccups. Come on here, help me out. And then a couple of days ago, Melissa and Mike went to Old Chicago's. Melissa saw a lady that looked familiar to her, and she went over and said, "You look a lot like Helen Brown." And the lady said, "Well, you don't look too good and brown yourself." This is the best I got here. Come on. Mike, let me give you some good advice. A recent study has found that women who carry a little extra weight live longer than the men who mention it. Marriage is like a Shakespearean play. You got a little tragedy, a little romance, and hopefully a lot of comedy. I'm like Brian, where am I at now? Finally, Mike, Melissa, my wish for you, may your marriage always bring you glory to God, joy to one another, and blessings to your family for many generations to come. May love and laughter fill your hearts and your home throughout all the days of your lives. May you face every challenge hand in hand, side by side, knowing that with God's grace, you will conquer all obstacles together. May the world be forever a better place because the two of you fell in love. And then I want to thank Pastor Brian for doing a great job. Give him a hand. I can't imagine where he would be today if it wasn't for Rhonda. That's his wife. Anyway, thanks everybody for coming. You're a big part of this celebration, and we appreciate you coming. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny. I'm the maid of honor. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to keep this pretty brief, partly because I'm not very good at this, but mostly because there really just aren't any words that could adequately convey how happy I am for the two of you, how much I love you, and how lucky I feel to have a friend like Melissa. Melissa and I have known each other since we were 8. I would say that that is before either of us really knew who we were or what we wanted, but I think that is maybe only true for me, because it feels like Melissa has known what she has wanted for a really long time, and I'm really glad that you found it. I'm glad you two have found each other, and I am over the moon excited to be here celebrating with you tonight, and with all of you. So please join me in a toast to Mike and Melissa. Here's...
Hello, everyone, my family, esteemed guests, the bride, and the groom. Thanks to COVID, I am performing my first ever best man speech to a computer. I am recording this from Canada, which Mike once lovingly referred to as America Junior. Also, the American guests might be surprised that I am not wearing an ice hockey jersey to deliver the speech. My name is Dean, and I am Mike's little cousin. Growing up, Mike and his family would come to Canada once or twice every year. When Mike was a teenager, and I was around the age of 7, I thought he was the coolest person on the planet. He was tall, athletic, had an American accent, and I was mystified by his immense talent on my Super Nintendo. As my Aunt Julie can attest, I would spend all my waking hours following Mike around like a baby duck. But that is the past, and I want to fast forward to our adult years. About 5 years ago, I was teaching English at a school in Bangkok. During Mike's summer vacation from his school, he flew to Thailand and visited me. Regulations aren't so strict there, and Mike was easily able to sit in and participate in one of my classes. For those of you who don't know, the high school Mike teaches at is called George Washington, and he thought it would be cool to get a recording of all of my students saying the name of his school. I'm not sure if Mike had a hidden patriotic agenda, but he managed to get a small room full of 30 Thai children screaming out, "Hello, George Washington!" Another memory that stands out from this trip is of a hike that we took at the magical Erawan waterfalls. Here is a description of the park from a Thai tourism website. Erawan Waterfall is recognized as being one of the most beautiful waterfalls in Thailand. Located in lush jungle, Erawan has 7 separate tiers and is part of a national park of the same name. Besides the waterfall, the park hosts a handful of limestone caves, offering plenty of exploration opportunities to visitors. Sounds nice, right? With our hiking shoes laced on and plenty of water, Mike and I slowly made our way up the 7 beautiful tiers of waterfall. It's viciously hot and humid in the Thai jungle, and it took us an hour or so to get to the top. Then, just as we arrived, Mike, with a very grave face, declares, "Uh-oh." Ever since he arrived in Thailand, the foreign food and bacteria hadn't exactly been agreeing with his stomach. And just then, at the top of this grueling hike, he was being hit by a violent episode of digestive issues. Without any time to enjoy the view, we immediately started down for the bathrooms. While we stormed back to the bottom, we passed countless small Thai people, and the look on all their faces was the same. They were astonished at how fast a 6'3", 250-pound American could descend down the waterfalls. Mike hasn't been back to Asia, but I think he remembers the trip fondly. A couple of years later, I was able to visit Mike in Denver for the first time. We actually started the trip in Canada and drove the 2 long days to Colorado. It was our first road trip together, and I was super keen for our American Odyssey. We passed through the following very exciting states: Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, and Nebraska. I have 2 photos from that trip. One is of Mike eating from a pile of chips straight out of his lap, and the other is of a gas station somewhere outside of Omaha. When we got to Denver, things started to improve. We ate hot dogs, went hiking in the Rockies, and watched lots of baseball. Actually, Mike had his own softball game scheduled that week, and I eagerly asked if I could play. He eyed me suspiciously. Now, as I alluded to before, Canada is a hockey country. It's not really a baseball country. Understanding this, Mike begrudgingly granted me permission to play with his team, but not before a long lecture on what he expected from me. It boiled down to this: don't make a fool of me, and no matter what, don't pop fly. No pop flies. You can strike out, you can get drunk on the sideline, just don't pop fly. Message received, Mike. On the day of the game, a softball game, I was actually a little nervous. But I'm pretty sure I played a decent game. I got on base a couple of times, I had a couple of beers in the dugout, and I managed to not hit any pop flies. Mike, who prides himself with his baseball ability, went up to bat 3 times, and he hit 3 beautiful, soaring pop flies high into the sky. He played a pretty good game defensively, at least. All humor aside, I love my cousin Mike, and there's a common thread that runs through all of our experiences together. When we were on that hike in Thailand, we were talking the whole time. For the 2 days driving through the most boring states in America, we were talking the whole time. And after the softball game, we were talking the whole time. Mike and I are almost a decade apart in age. We are from different countries, and we see each other just maybe once a year. But we always have endless things to talk about. Just like when I was a kid, I'm drawn to Mike in a magnetic way. And if you told that kid, who looked up to Mike like he was some sort of superhero, that one day he would be doing Mike's best man speech at his wedding, well, I'm sure I would have cried with happiness and pride. I hope everyone has a great wedding. Thank you very much.
So, just wanted to say something briefly to thank all of you guys for coming. I know some of you have come very far, so we really appreciate that you're here to spend our day today with us. There is actually one more speech that's fairly short. It's just going to be a recording, and it's actually going to be from Mike's grandpa, who passed away in February, and he wrote a speech for us, and Mike's cousin recorded it. So we'll play that next.
Hey there, this is Dean, Mike's little cousin from Canada. Even though I couldn't be at the wedding, I'm glad to be involved in some capacity. I'll be reading a short message that my grandpa wrote before he passed away this year. It's a blessing for the wedding. It was hard not to cry a bit when reading over his words. He held a very great place in many of our hearts. And he was also a bit of a master when it came to speeches and words. So it's a great honor for me, and it's also very big shoes to fill. I'm recording this from British Columbia in Canada. I'm working a forestry job, and I'm in a tent. So if there's some background noise, some rain or a river, I hope it comes across as being atmospheric rather than annoying. My grandpa, held a very high place in many people's hearts and had a big impact on our lives. So even though he's not physically at the wedding, I'm sure his presence will still be felt. Hello, it's Grandpa. I'm giving you my greetings from Canada on this very special occasion. My name is Ken Hammond. I am pleased to speak to you from Orillia, Ontario, the ancestral home of the groom Michael. Thanks to the magic of the internet, this is all possible, and I am especially honored that they have asked me to say a blessing as they seal their love and devotion to each other. I have watched Michael develop from being a small toddler to the talented young man that he is now. I have met Melissa, what a beautiful name, through video calls, and confirmed just how fortunate Michael is. Melissa patiently listened to my endless stories and smiled while giving descriptions of her life as a partner to Michael and of her work as a caring physician. I think my grandpa was pretty impressed because physician is capitalized here in his notes. She will soon be my granddaughter. All of this is to say, as the song goes, somewhere in heaven they were fashioned to be. I offer this heartfelt blessing and hope that the union of Melissa and Michael will bring health, happiness, and the joy of service on the road that they now travel together. Now it is your turn. I ask that you please close your eyes for a few moments to silently contemplate your own blessings for Melissa and Mike. Thank you. Your blessings are far more powerful and helpful than I have or could ever say. Now, a wonderfully special time awaits. Good food awaits. Thanks for that. Enjoy.